What's up guys, today I'm going to be going over my Marui Glock 17. Obviously, as you can see, this is going to be pretty much a upgrade video, telling you guys what worked, what didn't work, the quality of the products, and generally my experience upgrading the gun. Alright, so the way this video is going to go is I'm going to go down a list of all the upgrades I've made on the gun. Up top we have the current upgrades that are in the gun. The bulleted points are the ones I'm going to be talking about. And down below I have the past upgrades, which basically means the upgrades that I've performed in the past, you know, different generations that have gone through this gun. And also I have attempted upgrades that just didn't work at all. Alright, so before I go any further in the video, I'm just going to do a quick safety check. No BBs in the magazine, and the chamber is clear. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to be talking about is the Salient Arms Kit. This was about $291 from boomarms.com. They shipped from China. It took like 2 days to get here. It was extremely fast. Obviously I paid for EMS shipping. One thing I was kind of surprised about is that the trades, like the trademarks here, and pretty much all over the side in Outer Barrel, they weren't covered at all, which is a concern, and it's also surprising that it got here, because normally when you buy things from overseas, especially Glock parts, they make sure that the Glock trademarks and everything are covered, but as I said, I found them that they weren't covered. So it's kind of concerning. It's also good news. You can just take that information however you want to. Alright, so the kit was $291. I can't remember if I said that, but it does not include the RMR, and it comes with the standard outer barrel, not the fluted one, as you can see here. The kit's going to come with the slide, outer barrel, Trijicon sights, blowback unit, the nozzle, the trigger, and the flared Magwell. Alright, so as you can see, the slide is pretty beautiful. It has slide cutouts on each side, which reveal the outer barrel, which is pretty good looking in my opinion. Obviously we have the Glock trademarks, the 17, the Salient Arms International, the little square for the Salient Arms logo, and of course it says Salient right here. One problem I had with this kit, which I'm assuming won't happen to you if you buy the deluxe version that comes with RMR, is that my RMR, which I had separately, had to be filed down on the front face in order for it to fit the slide. Not a big deal. It doesn't look pretty that way, but that's just a consequence of buying a different brand RMR. Like I said, if you get the deluxe version that comes with RMR, I'm guessing you won't have this problem. And of course, my glass for the RMR has popped out. Alright, moving down the list, we have the Salient Arms Outer Barrel. You know, as the Salient Arms trades, there's nothing too fancy about it. However, you will notice, if you get one, that the scuff marks from the slide hitting the outer barrel are pretty severe. I'll show you that right now. You can see it kind of gets like silver and stuff on it. It doesn't look too pretty, but at least it's kind of hidden when you have it like in the slide. Fortunately, you can just wipe it off for the most part, and it won't be that big of a deal. I do have a fluted outer barrel coming in a week or two. I ordered it non-EMS shipping, so you know it's going to take a little longer than normal, but that should look a lot nicer, and hopefully I'll get rid of that scuffing issue. Alright, moving along to the sights. These are raised iron sights that are supposed to accommodate suppressors and the RMR. As you can see, the trademarks on it are really nice. I believe these are also tritium, so if you if I put these under the light for a second, they should glow green if I put them in the dark after that. Moving down the list, we're going to be covering the gun's modified blowback housing, or as most people call it, a BBU. Basically, this is a 17 and 18. Well, it's an 18 blowback housing, but it works with 17s and 18s. I'll explain that in a second. My favorite part about it is that, there's a Glock plate on back, so it looks a lot more interesting, I guess you could say, when you're aiming down sights, as opposed to normal Marui or UAC blowback housings. As you can see, it just looks a lot better. Alright, so as I was saying, this is a Glock 18C BBU, but it works with the 17 and the 18C. I don't know mechanically how that happens, but I do know that Guns Modify gives you a couple parts to put in here, and then you can use it with your 18C. So that brings us to my next point, which is it uses an 18C nozzle. The reason why this is because with the RMR you have less space down here, so you need the flat top for the nozzle. Moving down the list, I want to cover the Guns Modify Zero Hammer. As you can see, if you've handled a Glock before, you'll know that Glocks get hung up right about here. That's due to the hammer rotor catching on the blowback unit. What the Guns Modify Zero Hammer does is it doesn't touch the blowback unit at all due to the hammer rotor. As you can see, it's flat, as opposed to this guy right here. This one is a round hammer rotor. Basically, that would extend further and it would just hit the blowback unit and you could feel it. It's pretty obvious. Another thing the Guns Modify did is they just reduced the profile of the hammer, which also reduces drag when it hits the blowback unit. Moving down the list, I also have the Guns Modify Hammer, as I just went over. I also have the Valve Knocker and the Sear. They're all Guns Modify just so they can work together properly. I also have a Garter Recoil Rod right here. This was part of my old build. It got moved on to this one just because there's no issues with it and it works fine. So that's about all I wanted to talk about for the current upgrades. As you can see, I kind of have this split up into 3 parts as I showed in the beginning of the video. Current upgrades, past upgrades, and attempted/failed upgrades. But that's it for the current upgrades, so let's go ahead and move into the past upgrades. Alright, so this is pretty much what it looked like maybe a couple months ago, with the exception of the flared Magwell and the side trigger. Up top, I was using the PGC Slide and the PGC Outer Barrel. Inside, I was using the UAC Blowback Unit and the Guns Modify Nozzle. One thing I have to say about this combination of nozzle and blowback unit is that the O-ring included with the UAC blowback unit is a little bit too big to use with the Guns Modify nozzle. It's just a tad too big and it doesn't allow the nozzle to fully cycle. As you can see, I put in a couple smaller O-rings and it moves just fine. Alright, moving along, the old hammer setup I was using was these pieces right here. Basically, I was using the shooter design valve knocker, as you can see here, the Garter hammer with the 8mm rotor, bearing rotor that is, and the Garter Sear. These parts worked great together. The only problem I had was that it wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be, even with the bearing. I still felt some resistance and decided to move on to the Zero Hammer, as you can see in my current build. But this combination of parts with the Garter Hammer, Garter Sear, and shooter design valve knocker, it's actually a really nice combination in my opinion. All you have to really do is shave down the hammer bump and put in a rotor and then it'll work pretty nicely. But I still think the Zero Hammer outperforms it just a little bit. Before I was using this setup, I was using the Marui blowback housing and the Marui nozzle. This is a fine setup, especially if you're using it with mostly stock Marui parts. The only problem I had with it is that the O-ring of the piston head isn't in here right now, but the O-ring on it swelled up and it caused really bad travel of the nozzle, which created all sorts of gas problems. As you could probably see in my gameplay videos, sometimes my gun was just spurting out gas. That's probably due to the loading nozzle not being able to move all the way forward and all the way backward. Alright, so moving into upgrades that were just a total no-go were the UAC Hammer, UAC Sear, and UAC trigger bar. These parts are really nicely made. But they're kind of proprietary in my opinion, because you have to use them with other UAC parts. This trigger bar, the UAC trigger bar, doesn't really work with any other brand hammer or sear. or Sear I should say, because this only contacts the Sear. Moving on to the Hammer and Sear. These only, obviously, like I just said, these work with the UAC Hammer bar, or trigger bar. It's just that they rack the slide. It was extremely, how do I say this? It was, the movement was really restricted. It felt sluggish, and it wasn't like as responsive as I wanted it to be. As you can see, I tried shaving down the hammer bump, but that didn't really do any good. The issue seemed to still remain even after I did that. So for UAC parts, I like them. They seem to be made really well. It's just that they're just not working. I don't know how else to put it. I like UAC. I don't know, it's just something's not working for them. Before I wrap up this video, I just forgot one thing. This is the Garter loading nozzle. As you can see, it's totally cracked. It didn't even last 100 rounds. This happened about maybe a year ago when I was having issues with my stock TM nozzle. But this, I heard Garter has had some quality control issues, like they're producing some lemons or whatever, but I guess I just got a lemon. I don't know, like their Hammer and Sear seem to be pretty good, but the nozzle just totally sucked. But anyway, we're going to move on to a shooting demonstration and conclusion of the video. Alright, so I just gassed up a full mag, and I'm going to do a gas efficiency test right now, since it's too cold to do a shooting video, and it just snowed. So anyway, here it goes. Alright guys, so that's about it. It's been a while since I, sat down at a table and talked to you guys about like a product. It's been a while since I did a review or anything like that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I actually have another Glock build coming. It's going to be a WE base, and obviously it's going to be fully upgraded. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching.